This weekly show is basically about the life of my guests. They come from various walks of life. They do different things, and they are fascinatingly diverse in their interests, in their hobbies, in their work. And every week I learn so much about life from them. And that's why I call it It's My Life, because they are enriching my life, talking about their life. Isn't that fascinating? And I hope you as listeners too can learn so much from these women and men also. I've had many men also on my show. So you see, I'm not partial at all. With the coming up of BPOs and call centers, there's a new area where women are stepping in, and that is in soft skill training. And why women? Because women are good at it. Women are good at speaking. They are good at saying please, thank you, yes, no, all those finer manners, etiquette and things like that. But there are some people who are keeping it alive. And today my guest is somebody who keeps it alive. And that is Sabrina Datta. Hi, Sabrina.
Good evening, Chaya, and thank you very much for having me on your show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. And Sabrina, before we start talking about soft skill training, tell me a little about what is soft skill. We'll talk about a little more about it later, but just to fit the context.
I would refer to soft skills as learning to gel with your audience, learning to gel with the people in front of you, learning to vibe with them, share those few warm vibes with them, come out as friends. I call it a class when I'm in class with them, but then I do draw a red line out there. But then when we are out of class, we're all friends. And trust me, Chaya, I have made a lot of friends. They could be from 17, 18 years old kids to about 60, 65. And even today, it makes me feel very nice when I'm just there, being able to inculcate certain, I'm not there to teach them. I think everybody is good in their own way. It's just those little nuances, as in where you take off somebody's MTI, or you work on somebody's pronunciation, or you just teach people to, read and speak English better. I don't do voice and accent because I can handle voice, but accent is something which I feel doesn't need any kind of Americanization or anything like that. It makes more sense to talk
just naturally,
neutrally. So I never take that up as an assignment. And then the vowels and things, so that kind of, gets me going at times. But otherwise, I am very fascinated by culture of a place. I love going around doing things at my pace when I'm traveling. At the whisk of a hat, I could just pack a bag and travel. So I concentrate a lot on culture. I believe etiquette, courtesies, and hygiene play an important part in today's world, whether it's men or women. So I like training on that a little bit. I don't dwell too much on it, but yes, I do try and incorporate that into my trainings. I also do a lot of communicative English. I work on people's pronunciation. I don't speak the Queen's English, but then I pride myself on speaking good English, and I also like others. I immediately catch on an accent when somebody's speaking, and I know how good the person's English is then. So these are things which I would call as soft skill training, and I think it's very important in today's world, especially when you're transiting from a college life to a corporate life, and I think each one has to have those few little
And there's a lot
qualities.
of traveling and intercultural.
Sometimes, yes.
Isn't it?
It used to be quite often earlier, not so much now.
What? Because of the
No,
slowdown in organizations and because of
a recession happened, and then things went for a bit of a plunge, and the market seems to be opening up now.
Okay.
So the people do offer you, trips and ask you to come, to other places. But then sometimes the commercials doesn't work, or sometimes it's very few hours and things like that. But I do travel. But
Sabrina is now going to go down memory lane and tell me about yourself. From wherever you want to begin. Not from the cradle, but.
Chaya, I am a very, very middle class, deep-rooted Indian. Very
One sec.
Yes.
I'm going to every now and then keep stopping you when I find something. Now you said I'm a very middle class. What is middle class?
When I say middle class, I'm neither. There's something where you either become the rich kind of kid, or you are very middle class where how much allowance you're allowed, how much of leverage you're allowed, and where your parents actually keep tabs on you and things like that.
So that's what a middle class family does.
Yes.
All right.
And we don't look at very materialistic things. What we have, we are very happy with. I don't yearn for too much. I don't know. I belong to the old school of thought. So
that's what I thought, because today's middle class is materialistic. It is they who have the money to go to the malls.
First of all, Chaya, I'd like to cut you there. I'm not a mall person. I would rather go into a single unit, a single store and pick up something, and that too immediately. I cannot window shop. Secondly, I belong to the old school of thought. I still am very fond of my old ghazals and Hindi music and things like that. I am not a party person. I don't like people breathing down my neck and me getting all claustrophobic. I would rather go for a dinner or for a nice drive or just do theatre or something like that. There is a wish to learn to play an instrument at some point of time, and I definitely would like to.
Are these middle class characteristics?
Yes.
They are?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Now we must take a checklist and say, do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do this?
I've got a bucket list which I want to complete at some point.
All right, let's go from there. You said you're from a middle class family, and then, so what did you do?
I come from a defense background. My dad being a retired wing commander. He was chief pilot to our late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Served a good 21 years in the Air Force, had a massive heart attack and decided that he would rather, leave the Air Forces than sit behind a desk. He was very committed to flying. And we've never really, wanted anything out of the ordinary. We've been happy with how the flow has gone. We moved to Bangalore in 1982. I think I was about 12 or 13 years old at that point of time. I didn't want to ever leave Delhi because those were my growing up years. That was my foundation. That was my stepping stone to everything. I started working by coincidence at the age of 15 and a half. I had wanted to always join the airlines as an air hostess, and I was probably quarter my size what I'm right now. And I applied to the Hotel Ashok, and out of 487 applications, there were 4 people chosen, and I happened to be one of them.
For guest relations?
Yes. So I have done my internship. It was a diploma apprenticeship at the Hotel Ashok in Bangalore. I've worked in things like cold kitchens, hot kitchens, made beds, scrubbed basins, scrubbed bathtubs, worked through maintenance, but finally graduated out from there, in the front office and as a public relation officer. Before Le Méridien actually became Le Méridien, it was called the Holiday Inn, and that's when they opened their doors. I joined them. And I've had today, in a nutshell, just to tell you that I've got about 12 years experience with the hotel industry.
Okay.
Now 2001 being my last tenure with the Park Hotel as a guest relation officer, 1 point, access desk where I was heading a team of about 14 people. Found it a little tiring because there were double shifts and my mom wasn't too well at that point of time. So took a break and decided I didn't really want to go back into the hotel industry. And so at that point of time, and I also was a people's person. I started liking, meeting people and talking to them, and I would become friends very easily. I'm quite an extrovert. Life is quite an open book as such. So joined ICICI OneSource, and I could have been a trainer because I had all the qualities needed, but decided I wanted to know what the entire scenario in a call center was all about. So I started, taking calls for a UK project. It was a home shopping project which used to deal with martial wards and case. Called with the company for about 2.5 years, and then decided I didn't want to get into the operational side of it. I wanted to do training because, as I said, I was more happier meeting people and talking. I mean, the vibing, the compatibility was great. So started with Transworks as a trainer, and went on to Nirvana, and then decided that time was moving on. I was getting on in age, and I wanted to write a book. So I wrote with the Bangalore Mirror initially for a while as a freelancer. I also took up some freelance projects and thought I had the flair for writing. Words come easy. And not so much in speaking, but when I write, it just flows. Today I'm writing my own book, and I also work as a consultant come freelancer. I take on assignments for training, soft skill training. I also do a bit of content writing on and off, and tried my hand in between at a bit of page 3 events, but found it a little, I think it was for about 2.5-3 years, but found it a little amusing and a little artificial too, because every day you get, in a week you get like 5 invites, and when you do go out there, you are like every day you're wondering what to wear, and are your Jimmy Choo shoes better than somebody else's, or are you carrying a Louis Vuitton bag? And I think it's accessories and clothes that make a person in the page 3 circles. It didn't really sit well with me. So my priorities were very different. So I kind of gave up on that, took a break. And of course, I was still getting the invites. Today, there are no invites coming. But as I said, my priorities have changed. I've drifted more towards music. I attend a lot of music shows. I go for a lot of theatre. I enjoy theatre, not nonsensical plays, but plays which make sense. Art holds quite a special place for me, and life is great right now.
Now you've given a whole plethora of things that you've done in your life.
Yep.
Okay.
I think women
because we have a choice, we exercise it by doing different, dabbling here, dabbling there, doing that, because we're not really the breadwinners, except for those who are. Some of them are, and they don't have time, the bandwidth to do all these things.
Chaya, I would never really want to step into a man's shoes, because I think a man has his responsibilities. He, being the breadwinner, has to go out and bring in the bucks. And I still believe that it's a woman's job to take care of home and things, but that doesn't make her any more lesser. I think she's, I'm not a feminist, but I do believe that women today are at par to do anything that they set their mind and their heart to do. Women need to know where they stand. They need to know their capabilities without pushing themselves. I feel a woman is she's independent in her own way of thinking, and nobody can really put a stop on that. A woman can go as far as she wants, but too much of it also makes you headstrong. It makes you too ambitious in life, and that's where on the personal front, marriages and things suffer, because once a man is working and a woman is out there and she's doing better than her man, then that's where the personal life starts taking a back seat. But on the other hand, I don't mean that she should be henpecked and sit at home and only take care of her children's needs and her husband's needs. She should go out there, do what she likes, and yet know where her strength lies. And that's it.
You have siblings too?
I have 2 sisters.
Sisters,
Yes.
okay. Now, your 3 sisters. What do you think about the position of women today in India? Not in the world, because everywhere it's different. In India, you have grown up in the 70s, in the 80s, 90s, and today. What change do you see, Sabrina?
Times have changed, Chaya. Women today are more capable, more stronger, more independent. They have their own monies. They have their own, own backing, their own things they can actually fall back on. My sisters, for example, are doing very well in their own rights, and I'm very proud of that. Yet, I think since the age difference is there, I would still say I am not very career minded. I still I still like doing things at my pace, still like being at home, taking care of family and things like that. But and so do my sisters. My youngest sister is an excellent mother. She just had a baby 2 years ago, and she balances, or rather juggles, her professional life and her personal life very well. My second sister is doing equally well. She being an ex Air Force officer, so she's doing things at her pace. But there comes a time when you want to actually put up your feet and also take it easy. You don't want to push yourself or stress yourself, that kind of thing. Things have changed a lot in today's world. And I really wouldn't like to comment further, each one to their own.
Not about so much like their personal lifestyle or something. I'm talking about the position of women in society.
Well, India's got a long way to go.
That's what I would say.
India still has a long, long way to go. Although women are coming out in their own rights and doing things which are like wow, but I still feel that we have a long way to go compared to foreign countries or foreign shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But when you say a long way to go, what, in education, in empowerment, or in their mindsets, there are so many things which...
I would say mindset. Mm-hmm. I would say their mindsets, okay. Because today's woman in India thinks that she is only capable of doing certain jobs and certain remaining in certain corners, and or rather in her own niche. But she doesn't. She probably doesn't know that the world has a lot more to offer. And I feel very proud of when our daughters actually turn around and say, Mom, I want to go to Leeds University and things like that. What does India have to offer? There's nothing there. And then we go like, no, India is, your parents are here and India is here, and it's your country, and nobody will know you there. But then they go like, India has nothing today. I mean, we would rather, if you get a degree from a foreign university, then you're more recognized. So I think India still has a little more to improve on and go a little more longer. Yeah.
I'd like to now talk about every different things that you're doing, mm-hmm. about each one of them. I'm going to talk to you about her role in a hotel industry where she spent about 10 years, she says. Tell me all about it.
Would love to. Actually, this sounds more like, reminds me of Coffee with Karan, catching me on the couch.
But I'm very flattered that you refer this to Coffee with Karan. Okay.
It's just catching a person as to letting a person know what should he or she talk about.
No, just say what's in your heart.
Right.
The hotel industry.
The hotel industry, my initial years, growing up years, you meet a lot of people, you make a lot of friends, but they're all very nice to you when you're there. I think I had my first boyfriend there. Yes. So I made my first boyfriend there, and I still am in touch with him. He's fared very well, and as time has gone on, he's moved on. And I wish him all the best. But the hotel industry is a cutthroat business, very competitive business. When you are a young girl out there, a lot of everybody out there is trying to, get really friendly with you, make a pass at you. You never know who's seeing who and things like that. Work hours are very long and very tiring.
Yeah. You're on your feet.
Being in the reception. When I started, it used to be very tiring, mm-hmm. especially when you're on those 4 or 5 inch heels and saris, that too. But it also taught me how to wear a sari. Till today, I tie my sari. I don't hold it on my arm, but mm-hmm. I tie it in 5 pleats.
Put it on your shoulder.
I tip it on my shoulder. Yes, I haven't worn a sari in years, but I still know how to tie one. It was a nice phase. It taught me a lot. Taught me how to become a lot more outgoing, a lot more responsible. It taught me that things needed to be done on time. Reports had to be submitted on time. It taught me a lot of respect to people, how to
your customers,
how to actually give a lot of respect to people, how to etiquette, courtesies. It also helped me incorporate a few things which I inculcate a few things which I incorporate into my trainings today. I'm also a soft skill trainer, which we will talk about. But today, when I dwell on hygiene and I dwell on niceties and courtesies, it has all probably come from the hotel industry. Nobody really told me that there are big bad wolves also out there, but I learned soon enough. And I'm glad I went through those 12 years. And
did being a daughter of a service officer and your exposure to a different, very cosmopolitan lifestyle that you have there, did it help you cope with this kind of wolves?
No, not really. Not
No.
really.
Okay.
No, I think I led a very sheltered life before that.
Because it doesn't happen there.
It was always going to school, coming back, staying in convents, having nuns around you.
Oh my God, that can be very protective.
Exactly.
I studied in one too.
If they had their way, they would have probably made a nun out of me today. And then it was college, and at that point of time, I was with the Jyoti Nivas College in Bangalore, and I remember we had a nun called Sister Jovita, who was the principal, and she always ensured that the gates of the college were closed.
I think even now they do that.
But you could never step out. I mean, you came to college, you did your classes, and you went home.
It should be like that, I guess.
No, today's children go out and they're bunking half the time. They are in pubs and lounges. They're going out doing various things, even in college hours. So
don't you think that locking gate was good idea of Sister Jovita?
I think so at that time. Yes.
So they got more education at least.
Yeah, it was a very sheltered life, Chaya. And when I moved to the hotel industry, it was all new to me, that being my first job.
So the gates were open now, suddenly.
Yeah.
How do I deal with this?
Right.
And you learn on your own.
And not only that, I'd also like to mention, it gave me a bit of a sense of timing. Because if you were late, then things were bad. I mean, you were sent home and you would be actually picked on. And then you were given 3 warnings. And after the 3rd warning, you lose your job. So it gave, more than anything, it gave me a sense of timing, which today as a freelance, I really don't follow too often. But yes,
because you're your own boss.
I'm my own boss today.
Yeah.
So yes.
You use the word etiquette.
Yes.
Not many people know what it means today.
Etiquette is all about having a well turned out image, knowing your the pleases and thank yous, when you need to actually word them. It also means being very in place depending on the scenario. It could be you could be out at a formal dinner. It could be just meeting friends casually. It could mean meeting somebody for an interview. So it's all about how you carry yourself, how well you portray yourself. It also teaches. It's not just something that that you do yourself. It also, by you doing these things, people actually notice it and they do follow it. So I think in today's life, it's very important, because just to give you an example, when I train, there are these youngsters who have actually been picked out from colleges, and they're going to be joining, they've done their PhDs and MBAs, and they're going to be joining a corporate company as a junior manager or something, and they don't even know how to sit. I mean, they'll come in and with wild hair and long nails, and they'll be chewing gum in class. So I think etiquette plays a very important part today in the growing years of youngsters. It also helps us as people, because with each day you learn something new. And I think everybody needs to have that little sense of etiquette in it.
Companies focusing on this?
Quite a few, yes.
When you say quite a few, there are a whole lot of out there which don't bother.
Not just call centers, even software companies. places like Microsoft, who get engineers, software developers, programmers coming in from Kerala who are really good at what they do. Not that I have any, I'm not criticizing Kerala, or not that I have anything against Keralites, but most of them come from back or beyond places, and they really don't know how to, carry themselves and how to portray themselves as.
So there are special classes held for them?
Yes.
In grooming?
Even when they have technical classes, they have, there are at least 3 or 4 days which are subjected for soft skill training. So there is grooming, there's hygiene, there's MTI, which is mother tongue influence, where you try to remove somebody who talks with a bit of a mother tongue influence.
Is that possible to do?
To some extent, yes, not completely.
Because our own president, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee,
Yes.
after so many years in political life, after speaking into the mic for many years, he still has the MTI, right?
He still has his Bong accent.
So is it something that you
It cannot be removed, Chaya.
It is
Isn't it? Absolutely. I would like through this interview, I would definitely like to let companies, whoever's listening in, know that it's not possible to completely remove mother tongue influence. But yes, you can work on words. You can work on certain sentences of people. You can help them pronounce a certain word that where they're going, they're going wrong, especially words like love and the and great and things like that. And then a lot of people use the word okay, great. So there are many other.
Is it because they are short of vocabulary? That's why they're using.
I think so. Yes, not many have really, because their mother tongue languages are different. So half of them come without really knowing how to speak English. It's only what they learn in school. So that's what they use when they move to a corporate life. So there's something that they have to learn, and I mean whatever we as trainers can help them with, it's great. We don't promise the world to them, but then we try to help them and aid them with whatever important to lay emphasis on
pronunciation.
Otherwise, it really doesn't matter in day-to-day talking. I mean, when you're talking with your family and friends and things, you are understood. People know. I mean, one talks better than the other.
Only thing you see for youngsters, especially, some of them are very not very confident. They very self-effacing, and you can make out it's because they can't speak English. They carry a big chip on their shoulder because they can't speak fluently, and they get introverts, they become introverts, and they lose their confidence. And if you ask them...
I have a personal example in that, because my daughter, she speaks English, but there are many a word that she could still work on. Her pronunciation...
In spite of you being there?
In spite of me being there, unfortunately. Okay. I think it comes from being in college, mixing with people who are
what you're listening to
know the local
day.
lingo and things like that, what you're listening to. So even if you try correcting her, she's actually not open to it, because she feels what she's saying is actually right. And she says, my friend said that, and things like that. So yes, I agree with you. They do, they are conscious that they're actually talking wrong, and with that comes a feel of introvert. But there are also those kids who also feel that they're very happy talking that way, and they
don't care.
They really don't care, and so they're quite confident that what they're speaking is just fine. So there's nothing much you can really do for them unless they transit out of college, and then when they actually take up jobs, and then that's when they realize that they're going wrong, and that's where we trainers come in at times to help and aid.
So do you think it's important for schools to have this soft skill training? I
feel it is important, and
just to
I would just like to let you know that the Kendriya Vidyalayas and many a college has actually started this already. Okay. I trained about a couple of months ago. I trained a Kendriya Vidyalaya in Delhi, which actually which had incorporated 1 hour of training every 2 days. So it was good, because not only do you teach them interpersonal skills, how to mix with other people from different states, but you also teach them how to speak well. You teach you put them on a similar platform. So along with that comes a lot of other skills that you actually train them on. So I think it's good that actually some schools have opened up to this, and I think everybody should, even convents for that matter.
I mean, without trying to sound like, okay, Angrez hai, you should know English or whatever. We're today talking about a flat world.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about a global environment, and the global language is English. Computer language is English,
right?
Apart from the coding programming language, but otherwise. So it's important for everybody to know the language, not necessarily the Queen's language,
but good English.
but at least to be able to be understood, not as a bitch, but as a beach.
Not as a love, but as a love.
Some things like that, isn't it?
Right.
I don't know if you even... I'm not talking only about English, any language that you speak.
And
so as long as you can make yourself understood.
As long as you can make yourself understood, as long as you can write and read well, and you can speak well to a certain extent, I think that's what really counts.
You were talking about a book that you're writing before we wrap the show up.
Yes, it's quite dear to my heart actually, and I'm hoping to bring it out hopefully by April, May.
Have you got the name for it?
Yes, it's called, very aptly called, Escapades of Unsung Heroes.
Okay.
It's based on lines of late Mr. Farooq Sheikh's serial, which used to be called Jeena Isi Ka Naam Hai, where he would have a celebrity on board every week, and he would talk about not their life stories, but incidents from their lives. My book is not about celebrities, because I have seen them and I really don't relate to them. But there are people who, in various age groups, who have achieved a lot in life, who are living life to the hilt and have done a lot, have really, attained the sky as the limit, but they have not been given due recognition. And I think it's a small tribute to them. I know there are dime a dozen people and there are a lot of people to write about, but these are few people.
So they're personal interviews with them?
Yes, they're personal interviews.
And
there would be photographs with it.
How do you source them out?
Some of them are known people. Some of them are being introduced to me through another friend. And I first listen into the stories they have to talk about and decide whether it's actually worth writing about. And something touches me, then I think it is feasible to write about them. So this book would be out hopefully by I think April or May. I've touched base with the publishing house, and I'm hoping it will work in favor.
I'm sure it will work, because
it's going to be very reasonably priced. It's not going to be one of those so-called number one bestsellers as each book carries, but it's easy reading. And my second book is the manuscript is already out. It's a bit of a story about me, not really my life story, but not my autobiography, but it's going to be a story which is with a third party character, and it's a little twisted. So it's a bit of a love story, and it's got a little bit of person's life story. So I want to write that in Kunur. I want to go and spend it's actually somewhere lies among hills, the story. So I want to actually go and spend a few months in Kunur and write it. I think it would be a lot more peaceful and it would be faster than my first book, but that would wait till the first book comes out, definitely, with the flow.
I'm going to sneak in a question here.
Sure.
I didn't want to ask you that, but I'm just going to sneak it in here as we come to the end of the show. You said earlier that your youngest sister is a well-known film star, Lara Datta.
Yes.
How does it feel to have a celebrity sister? A sibling?
Nothing, not really anything. We are sisters when she's here.
So she's not a celebrity at home. She's just a sister.
She's a sister to me. I think she comes.
You're at the top and tail. You're the eldest and she's the youngest.
I'm the eldest and she's the youngest. There's 9.5 years difference.
Okay.
So Sabrina came first and Lara came 9.5 years later. We have identities of our own. We do things when she's here. We do things together. We go out shopping, and not too much, but she likes to rest when she comes here.
Yeah.
But because of her hectic work schedule. But when she's here, we do things as sisters, but yet we live in leagues of our own. So we have identities of our own. They're just both the sisters are just a phone call away, and it's usually me trying to call them and finding out how things. I'm sure Bombay, takes its toll on you. Everyone's too busy,
and being the eldest sister, I suppose you feel a sense of responsibility.
Yes, and I'm very close to my youngest niece because I feel she looks a lot like me. She has the same hair and the same coloring and everything. So, and she's the youngest, so I'm really close to. I keep wanting to know a lot about her and things like that. But otherwise, not really. I think Lara's just a sister first, a daughter first, and then the actress.
But I'd like to tell my listeners that Sabrina is not beautiful, but she's very much fun and attractive, because beauty is in the beholder's eyes.
Thank you so much for the compliment.
And I think she's a very lovely person.
I think as long as you keep smiling, the glow comes from within. So,
let's leave that for all our lady listeners to remember. It doesn't matter if you're fat or if you wear plus size clothes or you're big. What you need to be is beautiful from within.
I'd like to leave a message for everybody, if that's okay with you.
Please.
And if I may take another minute of your time. It's all about loving yourself. The day you start learning to love yourself, everything falls into place. I would ask everybody to love themselves as much as possible. Never let anyone put peer pressure or any stress on you. It comes, everyone has their own little problems. We all come up, we all think our problems are the worst, but I'm sure people out there have been through hell and back. So learn to love yourself, learn to forget what's the past. Never let the past catch up with you, because when you dig, you only find a lot of soot and mud in the past, and there's not going to be no diamonds. So live the present and don't think about your future.